Some streaming service.
Live.
Looks like it's starting. Cool. All right. What's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler's WPblab. This is episode number 117. And today's topic is going to be demystifying search intent for your WordPress website. Whew. Oh my goodness. So we're trying out a whole new setup, a whole new system. I want to say thank you very much for the folks over at Desktop Server for helping us out with being able to do our live stream today. Go over to their website at serverpress.com and take a look at all their offerings that they got going on over there. What's all the racket? What do you guys got going on over there?
I'm sorry, my dog has decided to drink. He didn't get the show notes. Hey, come here.
Your dog should meet my dog. She's learning how to be good too. You know?
That's awesome.
He's like so self-centered. He has to say hello. Sully did his introduction first by shaking his collar.
Nice. All right, Bridget, tell us a little about yourself real quick before we be rude and introduce John. We're gonna talk about ourselves first. So,
hi, my name is Bridget Willard. I'm known around the world as being a total smartass, but evangelical at Twitter. You can find out more about my rants at bridgetwillard.com, hosted on Pressable, or you can go to YouTube Can Be Guru on Twitter and hear more what I have to say about people not having websites in 2019. What year is this? Are you kidding me?
you don't need a website.
Seriously, you guys, like that. I feel like that should be a show.
We should have a show where we talk about building websites. That'd be interesting. If only we did that on Fridays, huh?
I know, right?
Well, hey, I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog, and I do a whole bunch of fun stuff over there. So feel free to go take a look at that. I'm having some issues with this Zoom thing. It's funny because it's like I really want to be able to see myself as well as everybody else, but I only want to see myself. I don't know how you guys do this, John Locke. John, tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us a bit about stuff that you guys do on the internet.
Sure. My name's John Locke. My business is Lockedown Design and SEO. And what I do, I help manufacturing and industrial companies rank higher in search, and they get more requests for quotes, which means money.
Money, money, money.
Money!
Oh my goodness.
We don't have fun or anything.
We're totally gonna have fun. That's exactly what's gonna be happening. So let's talk a little bit about this subject, this idea of demystifying.
So John Locke's email is one of the only ones I read besides Yoast and Rand Fishkin. So he's up there to me. And Glossier, because they're super cute. They have really good look, but that's a makeup brand. So I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, well, your whole problem is search intent. And I'm like, search intent? We don't even have intent when we're dating people. How do you know what search intent was? And so Jason was saying, oh, we should have a show. And I'm like, we should talk about search intent. What does that even mean? Can you just define that, John?
Yeah. So the thing that I see a lot of people do when they try and do SEO is they'll focus in on getting green dots in Yoast, or making sure that their keyword is 57 places on the page, or maybe they'll hire SEO firm to build a bunch of backlinks to their site. But the one thing that I see a lot of people, smart people, intelligent people about marketing neglecting is what's actually ranking. What's actually ranking for that term that you're trying to launch up there? And that's searcher intent. If you look at what Google is already favoring for a specific search phrase, you'll start to see patterns emerge. And I think what a lot of people do is they get frustrated because they're trying to force a term to rank where if they would adjust their content or the functionality of the page, or maybe the layout of the information on the page in some way to match the pattern that's already existing, they're going to have a much easier time ranking.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Can we unpack that?
Yeah.
Oh, it makes, yeah, please.
Yeah. So, for example, and I can give lots of examples of this. So, I had a manufacturer in South Carolina. They reached out to me, and they had different, generic phrases that they were trying to rank for. What you call like the short head, not the long tail keywords, but everything that's on page one for that was an informational type of search, such as the definition of that term, like a Wikipedia page. And they were trying to rank for the commercial term, like people are, typing that in and they're trying to find a manufacturer of that product. And that's totally not what's going to happen. Another example is I had a client, they're an industrial supplier. They make a lot of industrial equipment. And there's this one certain term. There's a couple like terms that are the more generic terms for the tool that they sell. And one of the things I was noticing is everything on page one is the lowest end of the market. It's the cheapest stuff. And where their product is more high end. So we focused more on trying to rank for those longer tail keywords where people are specifically trying to find something that's higher end instead of just the lowest and cheapest stuff on the market. Another example, I had a client where they had a landing page where they're trying to get people to, do requests for quotes. And the page, the way it originally was talking about the company, why they're awesome, our service is the best and this and that. But then I was looking at the actual search results and I'm like, everything that's up here, it's like a whole, here's the archives of all the products. Here's either a single product or it's like a grid of a whole bunch of products. And as soon as we changed that, they started moving up in the rankings. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Why is that though?
I think it's because Google, well, it's not just Google, but they go by data of how people react to the pages that are up there already. And they kind of attach meaning to certain search phrases. So they know that everything that's like this that has a certain pattern performs better. And a particular search phrase might mean one thing, but if you add one word to it, it might mean something totally different. And what I think happens a lot is when we're in our business, we really have an idea of what we think people are searching for, but how they're searching for it might be totally different. And so when we pattern match what's actually ranking, then that content starts to rank because it better matches what's already up there.
So now are you addressing jargon? Like in construction, we know what a glulam beam is, but a regular person would just say something. I don't even know what they would say because I know the term now, right?
Right.
So I know that Yoast said at WordCamp US last year that like whatever your product is, that's not what the public is calling it. I can guarantee you. So how do you find out what people are using? Do you use like people also ask, or how do you go about finding what those patterns are?
So that's a great
Besides
question.
hiring John Locke.
Yeah. So no, that's a great question because you mentioned that what we call something is different. And so case in point, I have another person that I'm helping out, and they sell stuff that's related to the cannabis industry. And so they had a perception, they have a whole product line around it, and they thought, things were called, cannabis, this thing. And then when I Googled that, I noticed that everything that was for that was basically for home use, like cannabis containers.
Right.
And what he sells is more the fixtures for the dispensaries. And so I, showed him that. I said, like, well, here's what's on page 1. And, and I'm showing him he's like, yeah, we've heard of them. I said, are they your competition? He's like, no. So then I dug deeper and I tried to just, brainstorm how would people search for that until I got a list of about 100 different ways that people are actually searching for that stuff. And then I'm like, well, you're doing pretty good. We can, make you do better, but this is how people are actually searching for you.
So when you're talking about keyword research, you're meaning research, like almost you're starting a college paper, you're going back to the library, you're pulling those catalog card library things out, trying to figure out where all these pieces, like where are the dots that I have to connect? First, you have to search for the dots, right?
Exactly. And what you're describing is instead of taking the round peg that you have in your hand and trying to fit it in the square hole and getting frustrated because it's not going, it's trying to find the round hole, basically so everything fits.
Right.
Or trying to find the square peg that goes in that hole. So something you mentioned, jargon. Yeah. Changing the jargon on the page, that can be a part of that, because that's something I run into a lot, where like people, you can tell, people have tried to dial it in for SEO before, and you do keyword research on that term, and then maybe it has a big volume, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a lot smaller than they thought, and you could point out, here's like 10 other terms that have a way bigger search volume. So that's one of those things that you want to find out. But definitely making sure that everything is on that page is basically pattern matching what's already ranking. It is I would say a bigger part of it.
And when you say pattern matching, do you mean using synonyms?
No, not necessarily. No, I mean changing the entire content of the page.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's another client that I have, and they sell basically marketing services, and they work with a bunch of different companies in that space, and they were trying to rank for certain terms around some of these, brand names, like the services around them. And, so I, just looked at Google, and I noticed, like, hey, everything up here for these terms that you're trying to rank for, it's all this tool versus that tool. And then this other tool versus, this third tool. And I told them that. I just said, you can see like 7 out of the 10, top 10 here, they're comparison posts. And they're like, well, we don't want to do that because we have relationships with all those brands, and we don't want to, make content that is, a comparison like that.
Right.
And so they're not ranking.
So are those different values that are there? Like, for instance, in the US, we call a tire, we spell tire TIRE, where in the UK they spell it TYRE. Is it that sort of thing? Like where like the localization of a term could be Coke versus pop versus soda, like those sorts of things?
Yeah, that can certainly play a part. I mean, for sure. If you're in the UK, you want to use the UK spellings and terminology for all the different items.
You have a trolley, you have all these other types of words. But I mean, so does that relate to what you were just talking about with the idea of these things need to be kind of, if the person who's selling the jars in the cannabis place calls this thing a certain type of thing, and then everyone else calls it like, the jar of, pot or the jar of whatever, that they would know to, between like like different types of terminology for that, right? I mean, is that kind of how you're
kind of,
because
so the customer's
going to Google search and say like, I need to look for tires, and they're in the UK and they're American, and they just search for the word tire and they spelled it TIRE, and it's not coming up. Like nothing's coming up except for a bunch of US stuff and maybe other places that spell it that way. But if they were to make sure that they were to cover their bases and also have that value available as something that they would search for, that then hopefully somebody would find it. Like I'm
okay. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that plays a part as far as localization and knowing the jargon. That
Right.
definitely plays a part. But I think part of it more is the actual businesses knowing, like, hey, like we think we should rank for cannabis containers,
Mhm.
but that really means like stash jars for home, like after you
Right,
go to the
right.
dispensary and you put it there and you keep it fresh. But what we're really trying to sell is, you know, like the display jars, and that's the kind of difference that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
Like I used to have a client who they sold what I called cardboard, what they called corrugated paper. You know, it's
Right.
like
Oh yeah.
two totally different things. So I would be in a meeting and I would pretty much say like the F word in front of them by saying, "Oh yeah, all the cardboard that you're selling." They're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 buddy, wait 1 second here. It's not cardboard." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is. To everyone else, it's cardboard. You guys keep calling this corrugated this and corrugated that, but really, it's cardboard." And they're like, "No, it's not." And I'm like, "Trust me, like cardboard. It is cardboard."
Okay.
But
Okay.
But then he pulls out a plastic thing and he says, "What's this?" And it's a plastic piece of cardboard. To me, it's corrugated cardboard. It's corrugated plastic.
Right.
So pieces of plastic, you know, like the signs that they put like,
Yeah.
or like, it's like those sorts of things. So I was like, that's plastic cardboard. And he goes, "No, it's not. It's corrugated plastic."
Right. I mean, they have corrugated roofs and everything like that. But like, okay, so now that you're saying that, you're on my biggest pet peeve with my developers.
Uh-huh.
A developer is somebody who buys land and builds on it. Okay? I want somebody to build my website. Like, can you talk a little bit to our audience, John, about, we have an audience that has two main things. Either they build websites and they want clients that are from the Gen Pop, or they're WordPress developers who want a job from an agency. Can you kind of talk about those two distinctions and how they can fit in with that kind of search intent, or does it matter? Or am I asking the wrong question?
Okay, so if I'm following you like correctly, say if you were like Joe, business owner off the street, and you wanted to hire me or you or Jason or Jen or Roy to build a site, you'd more than likely be looking for web designer, and then maybe like web developer, but more than likely it's just all web design. That's what it is. But if you're trying to get a job, or if you're trying to hire somebody for a job, then you're specifically looking for a web developer or a WordPress developer. And that usually, WordPress developer too, like has a connotation. That means, to me, that means you know some back end. You know, if front end developer, I mean, that even has a connotation. Like at this point, like it's almost become like synonymous with, you know, a bunch of JavaScript.
Right.
So, I mean, it's all these like things, but I mean, the normal person on the street, they're not going to use any of those. That's just people who are hiring or people who are looking for a job.
And then we've chopped it up and said we have a front end developer and a back end developer, which means nothing to anybody except for like, you make websites.
Right.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, but I make websites that are on the front end. And you're like, but what does that actually mean?
Yeah, because
Does that
I
mean that
know
only the dashboard stuff is the things you work in the back end. You're like, no, actually, that's still front end as well. And you're like, what? What do you mean? Like, what does back end mean then? It's like database and like PHP and like those sorts of things. And they're like, where's that happen in this whole sort of thing, you know?
because I feel like resumes nowadays have keywords. I feel like resumes are keyword stuffing.
I took Microsoft Word off of my resume about 8 years ago. Why? Because I kept getting these people wanting me to hire me to do Microsoft Word stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm just telling you that I'm proficient in doing Office products. Like, that's it. Like, I know how to bold, italicize, underline, make some tables, all that fun stuff, do a mail merge, but don't hire me for that. Please don't hire me for that. I do not want to do that for a living. So yeah,
I mean, how does search intent factor into people trying to get clients, John?
As far as in the WordPress space?
In our world, yes.
Yeah, in our world. Okay, so say as like if you sell social media services to agencies and businesses within the WordPress space. So basically, I mean, you're almost like a social media manager, gun for hire in a way. So, I mean, it's just, you have to understand what people are looking for.
Like, how would you start that research? Should I, like, if I were trying to get more clients and I build websites, let's just say for a minute, which I don't. I might get roped into it at my part-time job, but for the record, I never want to build a website. But let's just say that I can. And people want to hire me, because I have. How do I find out what my potential clients are going to look for? Do I start searching? How do I build a website, or who do I hire to build a website? How do I find those phrases that are going to help me rank with my competition? Or do I just start looking at my competition and reverse engineer the keywords?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think what most people do, and what I did early on too, was just try and rank for your local area. Okay. I think that's what most people do. I mean, that's what I went for like a long time, was just trying to rank for WordPress web design in Sacramento and, WordPress developer Sacramento. And, and I got up there. I was like either 1 or 2 for like any type of term for that for a long time. But what I found was it didn't necessarily lead to, awesome leads. It didn't mean that everybody was, searching for that. They were usually, by putting WordPress in that, search phrase and trying to rank for that, what I got were people trying to hire me to fix or, make changes to their already existing WordPress site. It wasn't people trying to hire me to build a brand new site necessarily. Yeah.
Because they already know what a WordPress is at that point, and now they're looking for someone to fix their WordPress, not their website.
Okay. So this is the search intent you're referring to.
Yeah.
Because they're asking for.
It literally took us 25 minutes to figure out what a search intent was.
Okay, so I
love it.
I'm literally selfish about this, Jason Tucker, because I was like, I just don't understand this article. Let's have him on as a guest.
John, please read us this article. Thank you.
No, because I read it, but that didn't make sense to me. But now I get, because whatever you're trying to rank for determines not only how people find you, but why. That's the intent. Why they find you. So if they already know WordPress, they know they have a WordPress site, and therefore they're going to want you for maintenance. So if you're a maintenance company, that's a good thing. But if you want new builds, it's a bad thing. Maybe
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I haven't done a poll of everybody, but I would venture to say that WordPress maintenance is not as searched as
it should be.
Screen of death,
as we think it is.
HP.
Yeah.
Why did my site say that it was hacked? Why is, there's a whole bunch of those things. So I guess so to totally change it to a different type of company, if you were a company that provided services of moving product from one part of the country to another in a truck, you wouldn't want to talk about how great your Mack trucks are, but rather you want to talk about how you have refrigerated vehicles that can move food. You have vehicles that you can move chickens. You have vehicles that can move cows. Like, you talk about
dead and alive, and those are different for.
Right. But you have to explain all that, right? Like, you got to give enough to. So you don't want to talk about like how great your Mack trucks are. Like, Mack truck, the brand, no one cares about. It's like, it's more about like the thing in which you're.
That's not true, though.
Well, no, because you don't want people going like, oh, I want to buy a Mack truck, and then they land on your site and they're like, well, I was just looking to buy one. It's the same problem.
Oh, because they already knew about it. So this is about brand awareness campaigns then.
Kind of.
John's
Kinda.
like, you guys are finally figuring it out. You could just call me Obi-Wan from now on.
Right.
So what's your first approach in looking at this when you're trying to figure out what someone's wanting to do when they're trying to build up the correct intents there, like the correct way of someone finding them and actually wanting to rank well using the correct terms?
Great question. So after I sit down with them and basically just verify what I already think as far as what their intention is, understanding what their business is, I'll sit down, I'll make a list of keywords, and what I will do is actually break down maybe 10 of those and look at the actual top 10 and see what's actually ranking, because then I can verify this is people searching for your services and this is how they're searching, and here's what's actually up here. So that tells us what we need to do. Do we need to make a city specific landing page? Do you need to make a service specific landing page? This thing that that you're selling, does it need to be a product page, or do we need to have a whole Wikipedia type article on this term? Because I think from inside a business, a lot of times we think a term is people trying to buy something, and really they're researching it. Yeah.
Okay, so you are saying your content should be so specific. Like like in filing, if we had a miscellaneous file and we had 3 papers of the same, we would make a new file. So it's like, okay, people keep asking this question, landing page.
Yep.
That makes so much sense. The object of search intent is creating a landing page.
Correct.
Wow, that was a great show. So
Yeah.
I don't know why, like, it seems so complicated to me, but that makes so much sense. Like, because intuitively, I'm like, of course I have Twitter lessons. Here's the landing page. Go have at it, right? I'm doing that, but I didn't realize like that makes so much sense. So in the age of, so we're just gonna, now that we've solved that problem. So the age of the zero bucks, let's just keep on the SEO.
Yeah.
thing. Like, I know there was this hypothesis put out by Robert Nissenbaum at WordCamp Seattle last week, where he was saying with Gutenberg, each block potentially could be an answer that Google would index and be one of those answer blocks, as long as it was one paragraph, because right now every block is a paragraph or every paragraph's a block. But if you keep it in context, and Yoast has metadata for that block, potentially, maybe not Gutenberg beta 5 or whatever that just came out today, but potentially, because that one piece of content could be that answer box. What should you reverse engineer how you answer questions to be in that answer box? Or if it's answered, do they not need to go to your site?
Yeah, and I did see there was an article out that Rand Fishkin of SparkToro put out about no-click searches are going up, and there was a lot more featured snippets. And I don't know if you've seen this, but there was people reporting that they were seeing 2 snippets for some searches, that Google was experimenting with that for a minute.
Oh,
yeah.
I would have liked.
Yeah, Leo in the chat, which I'm monitoring a couple different chat rooms here. Leo's saying that it's called a speakable selection.
Okay.
Is that familiar, Bridget? Did you hear anything about that?
Well, that sounds more like using AI, like Alexa. How do I, like the Google commercial with the Google Home?
Right.
Google, show me how to cook because I never took home ec because they don't offer it in schools anymore.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? They had home ec when I was in.
Me too.
Yeah.
Now it's called walk out to the curb and pick up your Uber Eats.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the gig economy. But I'm just saying, like now that's what we asked for. Siri, Alexa,
Right.
blah, 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 blah. Google, like we're talking, it's the Jetsons. We're living in the Jetsons. We just want to answer. We ask a question we want to answer. So like delivering that content, boom. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Or do you want people to spend time on your site anymore? That's what I'm kind of wondering.
Well, I think that where people are getting worried is they're not going to get visits, but I think in most cases, what's going to show up in the rich snippet box is going to be informational stuff. First, you got to get to page 1 anyway, just to get in the box. So,
where's you have to get in the stadium?
Yeah. But let's say, but if you're selling a product or something like that, or somebody's trying to book an appointment, they're not going to be able to look at the snippet box and get it done. They're gonna still have to go to your site. So I'm not too worried about that. And I can't remember. I argued this point with somebody on Twitter. I can't even remember the entire conversation, but I think that if you are the position 0 rich snippet for an informational search, people are still seeing in big text your brand name and your URL. And, maybe they don't click to your site, but I think that that's still good because it's brand association and you're number 1. You're in that big box at the top of the page. I still think it's beneficial.
That makes so much sense. I feel like SEO is like, it's kind of like you don't see anything. We're just Jedis. It just gets so complicated.
These are not the droids you're looking for, but these ones over here are.
Well,
we don't call them droids. We call them something else.
What was that one planet where Anakin was on when he was a kid? And they're like, that flying Jujube guy was like, that doesn't work here. Your Jedi mind tricks don't work here. So like even something that constantly works in another context or another planetary system, it doesn't work. So like you have people using voice assist, you have mobile devices, and you have, desktops, laptops, everything's completely idiosyncratic, and it depends on even what you're looking for. I mean, I'm sure like right now, because I was in Seattle last week, I am still getting the Seattle trends because I didn't change it. And right now, Seahawks is trending because it's Thursday and there's a football game on with Green Bay. So, and I know that because the next hashtag is GB versus SCA, right? But like, so even right now, Twitter is only showing me things in Seattle because I didn't have a chance to change that, so it still thinks I'm elsewhere. So like, what are some of the things you can do to like kind of get beyond that noise? And I mean, lately, Google Places or whatever, the maps, Google Maps has been really pushing me hard for myself and for trip designs to add more stuff and create posts. Keep saying, people are finding you, they're calling you, they're asking for directions, they're going to your website, write a post. What is that? Is that like the rescue of Google Plus? Do you know anything about this?
So Google Posts, this is something that I try and do. Sometimes I don't have one up, but they're basically good for 7 days. They're up there for 7 days. And so I do these for myself and my clients. But if somebody searches for your brand name, and that knowledge graph comes up on the side with the map and your logo and your social profiles and reviews, those posts are going to be there as well. And if people are searching on Google Maps, those can appear in there as well. Yeah, I think they're just a way that Google tries to see gauge kind of what interest is in your brand, or to see if people are clicking through on that. I don't know that for certain. That's just my theory. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to cost you anything. I don't think it's going to necessarily boost your SEO or anything like that, but it's just another call to action that you can put up there if people come across your brand and they're searching for your brand by name. Takes about 2 minutes to put one up. So
Does it matter if it's duplicate content or?
no, because I mean, they disappear after 7 days.
I did not know this.
Yeah, they're just there for 7 days and then they go away.
So that'd be good for a deal.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's the remnants of Google Plus. It's just something they're trying. They try so many things that end up not being anything, like Google Buzz.
Google
Reader,
Buzz.
which no one used Reader except for everyone I know. But other than that, they just get rid of stuff because they can.
Yeah.
When you're doing your search intent I assume or presume that always evolves, John. How much does how that is tweaked go by when the lead does come in, asking them how they found you? Like, does that verify the process, or is it not important? Or does the search intent really stop at Google Analytics?
So the way that I look at it is every keyword, every phrase that you put out there, every page that you make is a chance for people to find you. And in that funnel where awareness is at the top and, attention and whatever, AIDA, at the end, they're buying something. You need to get people aware of you. So informational content is how you do that at first. So in order to rank with informational content to bring people into brand awareness of you to where they're going to buy something from you, you got to be able to rank. So you have to understand what it is that people are searching for when they're looking for something. They're not necessarily always looking for something to buy. They might just be researching something. But once they get on your site, then they're like, oh, this kind of answers all my questions. So when I do need to buy something in a month, I'm going to come back to this same brand.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So that can completely shape content strategy and having one.
Yes, it does.
Publish.
Yeah. Your earlier question, WordPress maintenance. WordPress maintenance, the term, it's less than 1,600 searches per month.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
We have 31% of the web, and less than 1,600 people are searching for that in a month.
But
That's a brand
the ones
awareness issue.
Fix my broken website that may or may not use WordPress.
.com. Fixmybrokenwebsite.com.
So WordPress support has 6,600 searches. WordPress help has 5,400. And the support is more about the support forums. So that's likely going to be all people looking for free help.
Yeah, .org.
And WordPress help is very similar. Now, WordPress maintenance service has 587 searches.
587 instead of 1,600? That's less, John.
I understand it. So you got a total of 2,000. But it's kind of the players that you would expect to see up there in our space that you know. But WordPress developer has 12,000 searches per month.
12,000 versus 1,600. That's amazing.
The people in the chat are going like, what the heck? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that one seems to be kind of a mixed bag. It's all over the board with searcher intent on that one. There's about like 4 different ones in the top 10. So it might not even Google might not even understand. That might be too generic.
So do you think it'd be better off to just try to find those key strings that come up when someone's website breaks and make sure you mention those?
Yes.
So when people do copy paste and start Googling, that it comes up and goes, this is the problem. You're like, oh, I know how to fix this problem. Click here to, funnel, click here to buy the thing, boom, done. And that's it.
Yeah. Sign up for a plan. Yeah, that might be good, because I can tell you that I still get a lot of traffic from about 8 or 9 specific posts on my site that deal with certain web development problems and WordPress problems. And I still get tons of traffic every day from those. Though I'm not necessarily trying to job myself out for, those specific problems. But,
right. I mean, sometimes that's your Microsoft Word, and if you don't want to do that type of work, then you maybe not want to write about that stuff.
I mean, that's a good tip for having a site audit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you're ranking for things you don't want to rank for.
Well, it's the Dear Diary thing. So
take
you're like,
that content off
and then guide, and here's why. Yeah.
Or I can tell you redirect it elsewhere, or what?
Yeah, so I can tell you something that I done 9 months ago, and then I did it again 3 months ago, is I pruned out a lot of the content of my main site. And, I still put those articles on my personal site where I just had, writing and just redirected it. So those still exist, but it was all stuff that wasn't getting a ton of traffic. But I was very specific in that I wanted to get more posts in the SEO category than were in the WordPress category, because when I first started changing that positioning, I still had more WordPress category posts, and now it's more SEO. And I don't know if this is just one piece of the puzzle, because I did a bunch of other things as well to try and make Google see like, this is more the bucket that I'm in now. But for all my SEO terms, like SEO posts and just for SEO in my area, it's gone up like significantly. So.
Well, so you're trying to say that I shouldn't have my poetry on bridgetwiller.com. I had it on Medium because I didn't think it belonged there, but then I was freaking out. Hey, I'm in WordPress. I should own my own content. So I just threw it. I just threw it in my.
Yeah, it needs to be some like bridgetwritespoetry.com, and you just throw all that junk over there, and then the rest of it's like all this other stuff.
You mean that awesome writing? I know it, but then I have to start another website. I mean, I guess I have 5 websites with Pressable, and I already have another one, so I guess I could have 3. But like, it's funny that you say that though, John, because my biggest thing is about relationships, and it's about relationship building, with small talk. But it's not about boys and girls. Really, it's not about romantic relationships. It's about sales relationships.
Right.
So now I'm wondering maybe if I should relanguage that.
Probably.
I would
make all your poetry about buying the services that Bridget's company provides.
There was a girl named Bridget. She used to have a widget. She hawks her wares, and everyone stares at this lovely girl who does Twitter named Bridget. There you go. So okay, that's a lot to think about, and I am so happy you decided to come on our show, John, because I feel like a lot of us, and when I say us, I mean me, needs to do some, digging in, cleaning up some digital clutter. Like, I've been reading all those Yoast posts. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to do an audit of my site and throw stuff away. Those are memories. Stop taking my memories away, Yoast. But now that you're saying that, I could possibly be self-destructive in my content.
I think it's more beneficial to leave no doubt about what your site is about. So, I mean, how I do pruning is I just go in Google Analytics and I'll look at like a long time frame, like 6 months, and then everything that's below, 5 views in that time, I'll just say, okay, you could be on the chopping block. If it's something that I really, really want to keep on the site, I'll keep it there. But most of that stuff ends up going over to, just another website. So it's not throwing it away. It's just relocating it.
Okay. So you're moving stuff around your closets.
Yeah.
Yep. That's very interesting. Okay. So we're a little bit behind on our tool or tip of the week. And of course, I came without one again. I just keep using the same tools. It's bad, but I did start reading the 1 Minute Manager. So, I mean, other than that, that's it. That's all I've done. It's on you, JT.
I left my phone. I left my phone, and I was going to tell you about this one app that I found. Darn it!
You did the clapper.
That's all right. I'll pull it up real quick here. Let me pull it up in just a moment here. Sorry.
It's okay.
I thought I was on the ball here, and things just happen. Switching to a whole new system and kind of switching with all of the new software and everything that I'm trying to pull off here. It's very interesting to kind of make that all happen today. So that was a lot of fun.
Do you want to tell people why we switched off of YouTube Live?
Yeah, well, sure, I could do that. That might be my tool or tip of the week. How about that?
That's an interesting strategy. Like we started on Blab, then we went to something else for a minute.
Yep.
What was that?
Which one?
The one we went
recently?
No, not Overcast, not Crowdcast. Like when Blab first ended, we tried something else and they didn't save our recording. And you're like,
I can't
and then that died too.
Fire.
Yeah, Fire Talk, Fire Chat.
Yeah, Fire Talk.
Live Fire.
We've tried everything. Twice. I was real reluctant to, I really did not want to use Zoom because there's a couple different things that I don't like the way that Zoom does things. But so I ended up, we were having some issues with YouTube. YouTube's slowly but surely doing the Google thing, which is, they're now starting to take away all these little pieces. So one of the things that they took away just recently, which it looks like it's still working, but it's probably going to die off in the next couple weeks, is the Google Chat. So if you aren't actually streaming like a live video game nonstop 24 hours a day, and you have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people all watching your live stream chat, they'll actually just take off chat altogether. So we've been using YouTube chat as our main way of being able to kind of have that happen on the site and be able to go to our website and watch the video, and then also be able to interact with us through the chat. And I found that with it going away, I need to come up with something else. And yeah, there's Slack, and yeah, there's IRC, and yeah, there's all these other things, and I needed something that just kind of all work together. And so what I ended up using for our site is Discord. And Discord's what a lot of like the gamers and folks use, where they'll do audio chats and they'll do text chats and stuff. But the kind of glue that makes all this stuff work together is a company called Restream.io. And what Restream does is it monitors all the different chats that are happening where we're broadcasting our video. So right now you can watch us on Periscope. So it's playing live on Twitter. You can watch us on Facebook. You can watch us on, I'm actually looking into being able to do Instagram live as well. So I'm trying to do a whole bunch of different places and just have everything all kind of sucked into one place. And so I want to be where everyone else is at, not just Facebook or not just YouTube. And so we get a lot of views on YouTube. We get a lot of listens on, as a podcast. So I just want to be everywhere and be where everyone is going to go and listen to us and watch us. So I guess if my tool or tip of the week would probably be to check out Restream. Restream's pretty sweet. It's fairly cheap for what you get with it. I think it's like $19 a month or something, and you're able to live stream and push it out from wherever it is you're streaming out to other places. So Twitter, Facebook, and so on and so forth. So go take a look at them. I'll actually have a referral link in the notes here, so you can take a look at those and go check that out. That's my tool tip of the week. Sorry, real long. John, what were you using to figure out these search terms and how you're able to figure that stuff out? Is this some dark web stuff where you had to like hop on to some reverse VPN that did some craziness, or what? What were you got going on over there?
No, my setup's very basic. I follow the philosophy of the guitarist Jimmy Page. That said that 95% of a guitarist's tone is in your hands, not in your gear. And so the tools that I use are what I used to look up the WordPress maintenance numbers was KW Finder. That's $150 a year, and you get Mangul's SERP checker too, which is very, very useful. And then I have a monthly subscription to Ahrefs. So I have all my client projects in there, and I can look up, any other site as well, and, find out all kinds of information on them. And then aside from that, just Google Analytics and Google Search Console, and then just looking at the actual, pages that come up in Google. That's it.
I'm way going to do that 6-month check. Anything less than 5 views in 6 months. It'll be interesting to see what that is.
I mean,
that's
because
like a good challenge.
Yeah, because think about it. If you think about it like this, you're not really going to lose any traffic anyway.
Because you don't have it.
Right.
So it's like stuff in my garage. I have no idea what's in there. Neither does anybody else.
So is there an SEO spring cleaning type of thing that happens? Should we have you come back out during the spring and tell us how to do some spring cleaning?
If you want, yeah.
That would be awesome.
But is there something like that? Is there some type of kind of method to the madness of clearing out some of the old stuff, or rejiggering the text, or reposting it, or anything like that?
Okay, so there's another tool that I do use from time to time called Crazy Egg. You could also use Hotjar for that.
Hotjar.
Yeah. So basically what it's going to do is you can see where people click on your site, and you can see how far down the page they scroll. And so I kind of use that in conjunction with Google Analytics to look mostly at the top performing content, or stuff that's like, almost up there, but not quite. And I'll look at that, and I'll look at, what is up there, at the top, and see, is there a way that I can improve this content to, go above and beyond? And are people clicking on a certain point? Are they, watching this video a lot? Are they clicking on a certain page a lot? And so that kind of, all those things together just kind of give me clues to improve certain pieces of content. Now, I don't improve every single thing. But if something changes, and I know that I have a post out there that talked about, say like the length of the meta description, and it changed, and then it changed back, it's like, okay, I got to make a note to, update that. Those sorts of things. So those things are just kind of make notes to do that, and then, take care of it.
Cool.
This is really sad.
What you got, Bridget? What's your tool or tip? I know you've been using a bunch of stuff, but there has to be something, Brandon.
It feels like there should be something, but this is the most depressing trick ever, John, just for the record. So I did my 6 months, and then I reverse sorted it. Okay. So I have 359 pages that have gotten listed 5 or less.
Well, some of those are probably going to have parameter strings on them. So ignore those.
Clearly thing. But I will say that I do like one of my favorite things to do is I like to publish something and then go to real time. And I like to see who's looking and where they are.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm always futzing around with things, experimenting. I usually don't like tools. Actually, you know what? Here's the one thing I spent a lot of time educating people on at WordCamp Seattle, just literally in the hallway track, is Twitter's own analytics. You have so much information there. Jason and I did a show on this. But people go, what? That's there? Just go to the, click your face, and at the top, this works on a real computer, not mobile. And then go down to analytics, and it will tell you tweets. It will tell you like an overview, then tweets, audiences, and the audiences is like radical demographic data. Like for me, you would think that I would mostly have female followers, but I'm 62% male.
Wow.
You know why?
Why is that?
I work in tech, and they're mostly male.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So at first I was like, what the heck? Why is it? Why are only 38% of my followers female? I talk about a lot of girl stuff because my field has been steeply since 2015 male. And sadly, 15% make between $75,000 and $99,000 a year. So my WordPress developers, y'all need to start charging more. That's what Twitter Analytics says.
For real.
No, for serious. Like, but also like in the interests, 98% are interested in the weather, science, space, technology, and then 97% dogs, tech news, education news, sporting events, sports news. Like it's men.
That's men.
Yeah. And 31% are professional, technical, 23% are self-employed. And what's funny is the third category, 22% homemaker. So the women I do have are hobbyists.
Huh.
I mean, that makes sense. Like, why would a homemaker be on Twitter? Probably, right. It was probably my political people who were like the tweet team army, right? Before I didn't care anymore. But like, the thing is, look at those analytics, and there's that whole like chicken and egg thing with the audience. Should you write for your audience, or should you find your audience and write for them, or should you write and the audience finds you? I say be who you are, and your audience will find you. That's what's happened with me. But then you got to do an audit, like John says, and see what 400 pages on your website clearly are not valuable, and go figure out how to rewrite them or consolidate them and 301 or move them somewhere else, or I don't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't cut all of them.
Be a hoarder. Be a hoarder.
Yeah. And like I would say, don't cut all of them at once. Just cut the ones that you're like, yeah, I barely even remember writing that.
Yeah, like I don't care about Pinterest. That thing could die and nobody would care. Like, or even the one about Google Plus, which is completely irrelevant. It doesn't even exist anymore, Yeah, good times, good times.
Let's wrap this bad boy up. How about that?
Yeah.
John, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, where?
You can find me.
Alexa. Find John Locke.
Siri. Hey, and I'm going to give you one more tip. And for people out there, did you know that you can make Siri either a woman or a man?
Oh, gender neutral.
You can make Siri a man.
I might make her a man because she never understands me, and that clearly 68% of my audience is male.
All right, I'll just let Bridget go with that one. I'm not saying anything. Yeah. All right, folks. Yeah. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. Make sure you go to John Locke's website. Go take a look at it and all the stuff he has going over there at lockdownseo.com. Before you go take a look at that, right? That's
1D.
Yep. Exactly. Go over to Bridget's website. Go hire her to do some fun stuff with her. She does bios, Twitter bios. She does all sorts of different bios. She does speaking bios. You name it, she'll write some stuff for you. Hire her. She's awesome. You can't hire me right now. I got stuff going on. And so I want to say thank you very much for all the folks for hanging out with us today. Please, please, please go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com/subscribe, where you can figure out where you can subscribe to this and all the other places that we stream live and are recorded. All right. Talk to y'all later.